Welcome to the news. World leaders and business titans have descended on Gauteng this week for the G20 and B20 summits. The gatherings are putting the spotlight on food security, agricultural investment, and building resilient food systems. For the agricultural industry, this entails more than diplomacy. Agbiz CEO Theo Boshoff attended the B20 summit and shared some insight into South Africa's agribusiness wish list.
So it's day one at the B20 conference. So far, there's been a very, very big focus on multilateralism and making the global trading environment predictable. Multilateralism, of course, that means strengthening institutions such as the WTO, strengthening multilateral institutions that deal with all regulatory, harmonizing regulatory aspects, whether it's animal health, trade conditions, phytosanitary issues, product standards. So there's been a very big focus on that from the B20 side. I think predictably, obviously, that is supportive of businesses because we need to have a predictable trading environment. Unfortunately, the one thing that is creeping in, and it's no surprise that it's such a big focus at the B20, is we are seeing a move away from multilateralism, away from WTO rules. A lot of countries taking unilateral action, and that makes it very difficult, I think, for businesses to make long-term investments because the investment environment is so unpredictable. So our expectations, I think, from the B20 side, certainly met. It's been a great conference, and these are the elements that we hope the G20 will take forward. And a lot of the position papers, trade and investment, as well as obviously the sustainable agriculture and food systems, has been on along those themes, a return to multilateralism and a return to predictable systems. That obviously has been handed over to the G20, so we do hope that the governments will take a lot of these aspects forward. But the B20, by its very nature, obviously, we advocate governments for all the governments, and I think the business sectors didn't have too much difficulty reaching consensus on most of the key items. But obviously, our attention will now turn to see where the government actually follows through and where the government takes these considerations, adopts them, and implements them going forward. There are breakaway sessions taking place now, and the breakaway sessions will focus on some of the key themes that came out of the various task forces. And the task force for sustainable food systems and agriculture is very much aimed at food security through trade. In other words, it's a move away from these notions of each nation only providing for themselves to removing trade barriers, and in that way leveraging off each country and each region's inherent strengths, and through that way we can achieve food security. So food security and trade, and liberalizing trade and removing barriers between regions for trade is really the focus of the recommendations that came out of the sustainable food systems and agriculture task force.
And that was Theo Boshoff from Agbiz. Die Sitruskwekers-vereniging van Suider-Afrika het nuus oor nuwe Amerikaanse tariefvrystellings verwelkom. Die vrystellings het ook op lemoene as 'n sitrusvariëteit betrekking. Suid-Afrika het die afgelope seisoen 'n rekord aantal lemoene na Amerika verskeep. Die finale syfer is 4,3 miljoen 15 kg kartonne lemoene. Hoewel die 2025 seisoen op 'n einde is die nuwe kwytskeldings goeie nuus vir die 2026 seisoen wat reeds in April afskop. Die Sitruskwekers-vereniging sê die kwytskeldings beteken dat Suid-Afrikaanse lemoene weer in die Amerikaanse mark kan meeding. Die vereniging hoop dat die stukkie goeie nuus tot verhoogde uitvoere en plaaslike werkskepping sal lei. Amerika se 30% tarief op alle invoere vanuit Suid-Afrika het eers in Augustus vanjaar in werking getree, wat beteken dat die plaaslike lemoenseisoen toe feitelik reeds alle uitvoere na Amerika voltooi het. Die invloed van tariewe was dus vanjaar beperk. Intussen het die Suid-Afrikaanse tafeldruifbedryf kommer uitgespreek oor die feit dat belangrike Suid-Afrikaanse landbou-uitvoerprodukte wat tafeldruiwe, sagte sitrus en ander sagte vrugte insluit, nie by die tarief vrygestelde produkte ingesluit is nie. Multinational agrochemical giant UPL hosted its first Smart Climate Ag Carbon Credit Award ceremony in Sandton, Gauteng on Tuesday evening. 3 agricultural producers who practices regenerative farming received their first carbon credits during the ceremony. 2 of the farmers, Jean and Pierre de Kok, are from Bethel in Mpumalanga, while the 3rd producer, Kali Mainkies, managed to earn carbon credits on his sandy soils near Reitz in the Free State. The credits will now be converted into cash with the help of UPL's local specialist partner, specialist carbon company Horizon Agriculture. Hein van der Merwe, head of marketing for UPL in the Africa region, shares more details.
In Africa, we're one of the top agrochemical companies and sustainable companies in agriculture. We service 38 countries actively across the Africa region, with South Africa being our main and primary hub that we service here. At UPL, we believe in sustainability and really promoting the profitability and sustainability of our farmers. And tonight we're here to celebrate our Carbon Smart pilot program that has come to a conclusion where we actually issued carbon credits to our farmers. The Carbon Smart program is where we want to give back to our farmers and the communities by rewarding them for adopting sustainable and regenerative agricultural practices. That includes improving their soil health, building water holding capacity, using more sustainable and biological solutions, and then from there sequester more carbon and reduce their chemical inputs on their farms and actually be rewarded for adopting these practices. So our 3 carbon farmers tonight, we're here to honor them in our pilot program. That is Kali Mainkies, John de Kok and Pierre de Kok. They are our 3 farmers that really walked this pilot program with us to learn how we can do this and how can we adopt these practices and actually reward our farmers to that. Between these 3 farmers, they generated 26,000 verified credits. It was verified by DERA, which is basically the global standard in carbon credits for integrity and the quality of the credits being generated. They generated 26,000 carbon credits between them, which we are currently selling on their behalf at a monetary value of anything between $15 and $25 US per carbon credit. So it's a substantial amount that's been given back to the farmers for adopting these practices and to help them generate additional income, but also reward them for taking this leap and looking after our soils and the sustainability that goes with it. We're also happy to launch our full Smart Climate Ag program, which is basically our commercial program that we're rolling out to farmers across Southern Africa. It is a program that is free to join. There's no cost involved for the farmer. We do an eligibility assessment with the farmers at the beginning to see if they do qualify and if they're doing the right practices. And the whole process is explained to them what the expectancies are and what process they need to adopt. So we're here with our partners Horizon Agriculture, doing the program and really leading the farmers to generate these credits and additional stream of income and really rewarding them for adopting these type of practices. So from our part, this is an important program for us because we focus a lot on sustainability and especially on biological solutions. And our biological solutions at UPL form a big part of their cost, of their inputs that actually help them get into this more soil health and regenerative agricultural side of it. So it's a win-win on both sides. We're really excited about the program. We're excited to be able to launch it with our farmers tonight and some role players from the industry. And yeah, looking forward to the success and the future of this program in Southern Africa.
That was Hein van der Merwe. Jan Gry van Jan Vos Landgoed naby Brakfontein in Mpumalanga is as landbouskrywers Suid-Afrika se boer van die jaar aangewys. Die toekenning is verlede Vrydag tydens 'n glansgeleentheid in Woester in die Wes-Kaap oorhandig. Sowat 120 produsente, landbouleiers en media-rolspelers het die toekenningsgeleentheid bygewoon. Gry is 'n 4de generasie suiwelprodusent. Die boerdery het oor die jare gediversifiseer en sluit vandag ook 'n boerhandstoet en kommersiële kudde in. Hy produseer ook appels en verskeie ander gewasse. Die nuwe toetreder tot kommersiële landbou is postuum toegeken aan 'n Noordwesboer Nkosana Mtinkulu, wat verlede week skielik op die ouderdom van 42 oorlede is. Die landboukundige van die jaar is die agronoom en grondwetenskaplike Dr. Hendrik Smit. Dr. Smit het meer as 31 jaar se ervaring en is 'n leier op die gebied van herlewingslandbou. The Southern African Agri-Initiative's legal team has written a formal letter to the Minister of Agriculture demanding urgent action over a collapsing regulatory system for agricultural inputs. SAI CEO Francois Rousseau said the office of the Registrar under Act 36 has been stalling registrations for fertilizers, animal feeds and veterinary medicines for up to 6 years. Here is Rousseau.
Across South Africa, there are dozens of agricultural and veterinary products stuck for years in the Act 36 registration backlog. These are new formulations and generics that could immediately lower farmers' input costs. One example that is now urgent is the Rift Valley fever vaccine that could protect livestock at a lower cost. Our Farmer Input Cost Index showed earlier this year how hard rising costs are squeezing family farmers. Farmers are not asking for subsidies, they are just asking for a functioning regulator so that cheaper, safer products can reach the market.
And that was Francois Rousseau, CEO of SAI. Die Noord-Kaapse Direktoraat van Veeartsenydienste het bevestig dat slengtaalkoors onder skape in die Kakamas en Ograbies gebied uitgebreek het. Die uitbrekings is deur Onderste Poort se laboratorium bevestig. Die siekte wat deur muskiete oorgedra word, kan ook mense besmet en kom gewoonlik voor na heelwat reënval wat gunstige omstandighede vir muskietpopulasies skep. Die provinsiale regering raai boere aan om hulle vee fyn dop te hou vir tekens soos koors, aborsies en swakheid. Waar moontlik moet hulle ook muskiete beheer. Verdagte gevalle moet onmiddellik by die staatsveearts aangemeld word. Inenting van skaap, bok en beeskuddes is die enigste praktiese manier om die siekte te beheer. Mense wat vermoedelik besmet is, moet onmiddellik mediese hulp soek. SAI en AfriForum het kragte saamgesnoer met Nkotsana Nkonglewe Moloi, die medestigter van die Borutse Bagamoloi Stichting, om haar reis van opkomende na kommersiële boer te ondersteun. Nkotsana Moloi het reeds suksesvolle aardappeloeste behaal en plant tans tamaties, soetrussies, groenbone en rooi eie. Sy is ook besig met 'n tweede ronde aardappelproewe vir die Landbounavorsingsraad. Dr. Theo de Jager, voorsitter van SAI, verduidelik die redes agter hierdie samewerkingsaksie.
As 'n netwerk vir familieboere is SAI baie trots op ons gesamentlike projekte met AfriForum in verskeie diep landelike gebiede in Suid-Afrika. En die doel van hierdie projekte is natuurlik om 'n nuwe klas van winsgewende swart boere te vestig. Die nuutste toevoeging is ons projek saam met die Bahurutsi, waar ons saam met prinses Gaungalelwe Moilua by Mahikeng werk om infrastruktuur op haar grond op te rig, veral om die besproeiing en die energie te verbeter. Sy besit nie die grond waarop sy boer nie, dit behoort aan 'n gemeenskaplike eiendomsvereniging, wat natuurlik beteken dat sy nie toegang het tot kapitaal of landboufinansiering vir haar insette nie. En vir ons is die belangrikste deel van hierdie projek om haar te help om produktief en kompeterend te produseer, haar skakeling met markte te stroomlyn, sodat sy winsgewend en volhoubaar kan boer.
En so sê Dr. Theo de Jager. Integrated poultry producer Astral Foods has announced strong financial results for the year ending 30 September. The company's turnover increased by 10% to 22.6 billion rand. Furthermore, its operating profit increased by 11% from 1.12 billion last year to 1.2 billion in 2025. The company today boasts a cash position of more than 1 billion rand. A dividend of 11 rand per share has been declared. Astral CEO Gary Arnold says that although it is still early in the season, the outlook for 2026 is positive. They expect a good grain harvest that will lead to good feed prices for chicken producers. And a livestock ship, the Spiridon II, is returning to Uruguay after being rejected by Turkish authorities. The ship, carrying about 2,900 head of dairy cattle, had been at sea for more than 50 days when it was rejected. According to the Animal Welfare Foundation, at least 58 cows died in transit, 140 cows miscarried, and 50 newborn calves were found on the ship. The ship departed Montevideo in Uruguay on 19 September and has not been able to unload the animals since. One of the biggest immediate concerns is how the ship will dispose of the animal excrement. According to the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, also known as MARPOL, no animal manure may be dumped at sea. Dead animals may also not be thrown overboard. Dr. Lynn Simpson, an Australian veterinarian specialising in the exportation of livestock, said the current conditions on the ship could lead to the outbreak of various animal diseases. According to the latest report, the ship will only reach its destination by 14 December. En nou vir ons wolnuus. Heinrich Victor sluit by ons aan om vir ons die nuutste te deel.
Op die 13de wolveiling van die seisoen wat op 19 November plaasgevind het die Suid-Afrikaanse wolmark weer versterk teenoor die vorige veiling en het die Cape Wools Merino aanwyser met 1.5% hoër verhandel vir alle merino wol en ook 1% vir gesertifiseerde wol en het teen 'n skoonprys van R206.45 per kilogram en R211.10 per kilogram onderskeidelik gesluit.
Dit was Heinrich Victor met ons wolnuus en ons weerkenner Johan van der Berg voorspel nog reën. Hier is hy met 'n volledige weerverslag.
Kyk ons na die reën vir die volgende tyd, dan is hier maar weer reën op pad. Kom ons sê die laaste 10 dae van November oor Gauteng en omliggende gedeeltes kan amper elke dag weer reën verwag word. Nou dit lyk nie na swaar reën soos die afgelope naweek se reën nie, maar 10 of 20 millimeter op al hierdie reën wat geval het, kan weer baie vinnig vloede veroorsaak. So ons moet maar vir hierdie volgende tyd baie versigtig wees. Hier is nog reën wat kan voorkom. Die groot ding, ons gaan baie min sonskyn kry en so die afdroging gaan baie min wees. Ons riviere gaan vol bly. So hier is 'n baie groot risiko vir verdere vloede wat kan voorkom. Dit is altyd moeilik om te voorspel hierdie afsny laagdrukstelsels, maar dit kan weer baie vinnig voorkom. Daar kan byvoorbeeld, ek het gesien, Limpopo gedeeltes, is daar dele wat hulle ook weer voorspel baie swaar reën. Winterreënvalgebied, daarom 'n bietjie goeie nuus. Hier so in die laaste week van November lyk dit of daar tog 'n bietjie reën kan voorkom. En veral hier oor die baie droë tuinroete en selfs Oos-Kaap gedeelte.
Johan van der Berg met ons weernuus. And on a much lighter note, on a quiet ranch in the United States, the baby Highland cow Olive has been practicing her first moo. Even from thousands of miles away, her tiny voice and playful curiosity are winning hearts and giving us all a little smile to welcome the weekend. And with that, I say goodbye.